All right, so the day has come where I'm gonna compare the amp annealer versus the old bench source flame annealer. I've been using this annealer for over a decade. I was one of the first ones that ever ordered this machine. I've been extremely happy with it. And to be honest with you, I just didn't feel like I needed the amp. However, I do have to admit, a lot of my competition friends are saying, or they've been saying for a very long time, you gotta get the amp, you gotta get the amp, you gotta get the amp. Well, some of you know this, but I've had that amp annealer up there for a very long time. The reason for that is I did not want to open it until the press came out. I finally got the press. If you don't know what I'm talking about, is the amp press. This one right here. This amp press is going to help me give you a visual representation as to what the brass is doing after it's been annealed. The consistency, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to anneal 10 pieces of brass the way I've always been doing it. And then I'm going to use the amp to do another 10 pieces. I'm gonna use the Aztec mode on the annealer. That way it gives me the code and everything. I'm gonna let the annealer do all the work, and then we're gonna take them to the press and see if there's a difference, and you know, see if it's something that matters. Now, in order for me to keep track of what's what, I took 10 pieces of brass. Actually, I took 20 pieces of brass. 10 of them, I took them over to, well, all right, so to be able to tell which is which, I engraved 20 pieces of brass with my engraver. 10 of them say amp 1 through 10, and the other 10 say flame 1 through 10. What that's gonna allow me to do is, number one, anneal them in that order, and then I'm going to measure them on the press in that order. Then when I go shoot them, I'm gonna shoot them in that order, and everything is gonna be done in that order. That's going to, number one, help me keep track of everything. Number two, make sure I don't get the brass mixed up. And number three, give you the most consistent data that I can think of, okay? All right, enough of that. Let's anneal some brass. All right, so I got the 10 pieces of brass right here. And you can tell, like this one right here, it says flame 9. And they are numbered, this is flame 8. Anyway, I got them all 10 right here, 1 through 10. I'm gonna go ahead and set up the annealer the way I always do. About right there. I always make sure that the flame, the tip of the flame, that they almost touch. All right, here we go. We're gonna start at 8 seconds. That's usually what I do. And you know what? I said I was gonna do them in order. So let me get them in order. 8, 5, 9, 2, 7, 1, 6, 10, 3, 4. All right, here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I'm gonna put my hand over here on the dial. Right there. Okay, we're gonna do all 10 of these. I'm gonna dim the light so you can see. right about the time that the necks start to glow, that's when I advance them. That's the way I've always done it, so that's how we're gonna do it right now. Alright, so the amp annealer has something called Aztec mode. Let me turn it on. And what Aztec mode does is you sacrifice a piece of brass, and it tells you what Alright, so there I just select, what you do is you press these two buttons and it gives you a menu. Select Aztec mode. Okay, there it is. You have this, so it comes with this holder, and it is cartridge specific. So really what varies is the depth, but number 12 is for 284 or 6.5 284 or 284 Shaheen. But anyway, so that's what I have, and then it comes with this collet that holds a conventional shell holder, just like that. Okay, as you can see, it's asking me if I want to run or analyze Aztec mode. Right now we're going to analyze, hit start, and we are using number 12. Okay, we're gonna put a case in there, and this is from the same box of ammo that I've been using. So I just want to make sure that I use the piece of brass that is prepped just like all the others. It's going to get sacrificed, and you'll see what I mean. If you've never seen this done, you'll see. All right, start. And as you can see, it turns red when it's going. And I mean, it's going. It's gonna give me a code 157. I'm gonna use it, but anyway, here's the piece of brass. Whoa. Well, I don't really want to touch it because it's really hot, but I'll show it to you here shortly. So anyway, the code that it gave me is 157. I'm gonna make a note of that because that's the code I'm gonna use from now on. But anyway, so all I do is I'm gonna take number 1. Okay, put it in here. Let me get this tray. I'm gonna put it in the same tray because they're marked anyway. Let me show you before I continue. These are marked amp 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for example. 7. And of course, this is 6. This is 3. Where are you at? See, so they're all marked. All right, so we're gonna do them in order. All you do is you put on the show holder like this, you drop it in place, and then you hit start. That's it. You can't really tell, but it's hot. So there's one. There's 2. There's 3. They make something called an amp mate, and it's a contraption that sits up here, and it allows you to automate this whole process, but I don't have it yet. You can see how fast this is. And of course it's counting how many we've done. Super fast. Okay. Seven. 8. 9. Super fast. This is induction annealing, so obviously it's faster. And 10. Okay? You can see, I don't know if you can see the smoke, but she's annealed. Anyway, I'm gonna let these cool down, and then we're gonna proceed with the test. So 157, I'm gonna make a note of that. In the meantime, this one's cooled off already. This is the piece of brass that I used for the Aztec mode. And it absolutely destroys the piece of brass. But by doing this, it gathers the data that it needs to give you the perfect setting for the brass that you intend to do. But I mean, look at that. So you will sacrifice at least one piece of brass. I've already sacrificed a few. And but anyway, and the reason I sacrificed a few, I just wanted to make sure. Another thing I need to tell you is, if the piece of brass, so for example, this is a brand new piece of brass. Okay, I'm gonna turn it back on just so I can show you. And I mean, there's a million reviews online that you can go check this out. But what I need to show you is that it's different. For example, this is neck turn brass, and it's dirty brass. And that's how I always anneal it, so this is why I use the amp mode on dirty brass. But if it's clean or dirty, it matters. Or if it's neck turn or not neck turn, everything matters. So make sure you use a piece of brass that is prepped exactly how you intend to use the machine. So for example, Aztec mode, I'm just gonna throw it in there. And we're gonna do, again, we're gonna analyze right there. So remember, the code that we had was 157. Of course, we're using pilot number 12. All right. So dirty brass was 157. This is clean neck turn brass, never been fired. 161. It's close, very close. Now, let me take another piece of brass. That is, you know, from my box. Okay, and we're gonna try this again. We're gonna go back. We're gonna analyze again. And again, 12. Okay, this is dirty, so the clean brass gave us 161. The dirty gave us 157. Let me see if there's any difference. 155. So dirty seems to be on the lower side, and you can see it absolutely destroys it. I'm going to take another piece of brass, clean, freshly neck turned, and we're going to do this again. So the dirty brass we got in 155, 157. The clean brass we got 161. So let's see what we end up with on this one. All right. $157. So it appears to be very close. Well, there it went. But anyway, just what I do, like I said, I use brass that if it's dirty, I use the Aztec with dirty brass. If it's clean, obviously I use Aztec with clean brass. But 157 appears to be pretty happy for both. But anyway, sacrifice the case and find out. All right, let's go seat this ammo. All right, so I got all the brass for the amp right here in my hand. Okay, I'm gonna set it down right here. And I have a tray over here to catch my brass. Okay, I'm going to use just dye wax just to lube it. And of course, we're gonna do them in order. So this is 7. I'm just gonna lube everything. 7. This is 10. I don't do much, just put some on my finger, rub it everywhere, neck, shoulder, base, That's it. This is 1. 2. All right, let me get these lubed and I'll be right back. All right, so I got all the brass lubed. I'm gonna start running my press. I have a full length sizing die here, and then I have an expander mandrel right here. Okay, we're gonna do them in order. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That must have been 10. Anyway, here we go. They're being sized. Now they're going to come around and get expanded. These are floating dies, so that's why they do this. This is how I size my competition brass. If you guys ever see that, if you guys have ever seen that 1.25" group that I shot at 1,000 yards, the brass was sized on this Dillon. So anyway, I fully trust it. All right, so that's all 10 of them. I'm going to wait until it comes all the way around, and I'm gonna wait until it's completely empty so I can load it again with the other brass. I just want to make sure everything's exactly the same. So you can probably already tell why I like the Dillon so much with the auto drive, because what I do is I load the hopper, throw about 100 pieces of brass in there, and I just let it do its thing. And I can go do something else. I can trim brass. Sometimes I just stand here and loop brass while it's sizing the brass, and then I just throw it up there in the hopper. So very efficient, and it saves me a lot of time. All right, that's it. Now we're gonna take this brass and we're gonna trim it all. And then we're gonna seat some bullets in it. All right, so now I'm just gonna wipe the brass down and trim it. All right, there it is. So we have 10 amp in the front, 10 flame in the back. Now I'm gonna get the press set up and we're gonna seat them. Actually, not yet. I gotta drop some powder. So I'm gonna do the primers first, then we're gonna drop some powder, then we'll get them seated. All right, so before we do all of that, we should probably check our shoulder bump. All right, so again, in the front, we have the amp. $1767. I'm just gonna move it here. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and zero it. That's gonna make it easier to follow. All right, that's 0 right there. 0. This is the amp. Right there. Amp number 3. 0. Half a thou. 0. That's half. I don't really trust a half, so half, but for discussion purposes, we're gonna have to take it into account. 0. Half. Half. So they are, I mean, you can pretty much say within half a thou. All right, flame annealer. You can see right there, flame. Okay. This is 1,000. So this is longer. Let's see if they're consistent. 1 And I spin them to make sure they're seated properly. 0, 0. Let's go back to the first one. It was 1. Still 1. 0. Half. 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 0. Half. I'll go back to the first one again. 1, still 1. Second one. 1. Third one. 0. So, all right. So the amp appears to be within half a thou. The flame within 1,000. However, we are using calipers, so take it for what it's worth. I'm going to say, for my purpose, I'm going to say they're the same because these calipers are not accurate to 1/2,000th of an inch. But, you know, I think they're pretty accurate. See, they're very repeatable. We're back to 1. This one was 0. Yeah, see? So they're very repeatable. So either way, they're super close. Obviously the amp are slightly better. All right, let's get this brass primed. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get these primers loaded. I don't have one of those automatic tube fillers, so I just kind of do it the old-fashioned way. Anyway, I just realized this video is getting pretty long, so come back next time and we're gonna get these primers seated. We're gonna drop some powder, then we're gonna go over to the press and see how consistent these are to each other. So far, they look almost identical. The amp has a slight edge, but I don't think it's enough to matter at this point. All right, that's all I got for today. Come back next time. We're gonna seat these bad boys and we're gonna see how they do. And then after that, we're gonna go ahead and shoot these. Bye-bye. Keep them centered.